Oh, welcome back to the second episode of Quirks and Controllers. Now, before we did like a pilot episode, but I think it was good. I think that will be our official episode 1.
Yeah,
this will be our official episode 2.
I think people don't love pilots as much as they should, and I think we need to love ours like we should.
That's right.
It's not like the pilot of Parks and Rec that was horrible. No, we were better than that.
Much better, so much better. So same set, same clothes.
Yes.
We decided that it was so good that we got to start the second episode immediately.
Yes.
So if you have any feedback on like the set or how the show is structured, if we banter too much or whatever, like please hitting my mic, please, any feedback is good feedback. And be sure to follow our socials. We're on Instagram, Threads. You can follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all that good stuff.
Yes.
And we're going to keep making video episodes, audio episodes.
We haven't really nailed down how often, but I think we can do a pretty solid schedule here. I'm pretty free pretty much anytime, like I told you, after 5.
Yeah, there you go. It's moving to my new position at my undisclosed
Oh, yes, depending how that goes, yes.
Is now like midday. So I think there's a little bit of scrunch there, but I'm sure my free days match up with your active work days.
Yes.
Plenty of time. So we'll make this work. So again, welcome back to our show where we're pairing alcohol with video games and media and stuff. Like, I gotta find the perfect way. I gotta find the perfect opener to do with every single show. But now look, we're gonna have a fun discussion. We're gonna talk about alcohol. We're talking about games. We're gonna talk about just casual stuff going on.
Yeah, so get your bedazzled chalice and get your controller because you're going to learn today.
That's right. Put it up in the background and keep playing your video games.
Exactly.
So we're back.
We're back.
How's your let's start with this. How's your very first podcasting experience?
Oh my God.
This is the first time you're behind a mic.
Yes. So, yeah, exactly. I mean, I felt I was so nervous for the first one because so you guys didn't see this portion of it or didn't hear it either, but the first time I heard Victor's voice on one of these things, I was like, his voice is so angelic. Like, how does he do this? It's like, I even had him read a little excerpt, from a little spirits book that we have here. And I'm like, oh my God, he sounds like that's Sir William something, the English narrator. And I'm like, dude, I want you to read me Harry Potter. Like, I will go to bed right away. Like, it is the most soothing voice. And in my head, I'm like, yeah, I'm never going to compete with that. And I still don't think I'm going to compete with that. But this is a lot less intimidating now than it was that first time. Because in the beginning, I'm like, God damn it, am I going to talk too loud? Am I going to talk too soft? Am I going to say too many swear words? And now I'm like, nah, the point is booze and games.
Besides, that's what the headphones are for.
Exactly. Oh, these headphones are life-changing, by the way.
Not only to listen to my booming voice, but, just to hear all the awkward, weird things. You know what's the best part? Of focusing too much on your voice, and if you're doing a good job, is the editing, because when you're getting in there and you're dialing in and you're listening to fractions of a second on loop over and over again to be like, should I take that out or should I just level it out or what? You notice people's quirks. Usually when you watch a person a long time, you're like, hey, this particular person when they stand still too long, they move their knee a lot or something like that. Uh-huh. We have those quirks in our voices too.
Oh.
Obviously, being from California, you're probably going to hear us say a lot.
I
don't know about you. Do you say
dude, bro?
So I say a lot when my brain is rushing a million miles a second and my mouth hasn't
caught
up yet. and then especially when I notice it and I just start stammering. And then I'll say a billion times in a row to an annoying degree, at least to me because I'm editing it. But I'm pretty sure you did perfectly well on your first episode.
I mean, I think I did good enough. I think I'd pass, I could insert one joke here, be a medium minus on that one, maybe average.
Yeah. So, that was good.
Uh-oh.
We got an interruption. Guys, what was I going to say? Oh, I was going to say this being my 200th podcast episode I ever recorded. I think I did well.
Yes, this guy is the podcast king.
the only thing that's
I'm
Go-
sorry.
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry about
Go
that.
ahead. Let's see what's going on over there.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Better keep this in.
Let's see. Christ. Okay. So it's for a survey that I need to do apparently.
Gotcha. Just make sure it's not a relative. That's why I said it was
Oh
okay.
no. Yeah, no. It's not a relative. It's a survey I need to do.
Gotcha. Um,
But yeah, before the rude interruption, yes, we were talking about his podcasts. So his experience, oh my God. So I'll never forget the first time I found out this guy did podcasts. Because I remember I listened to an episode and I will never forget this. For some reason, this was back when we were at our mutual job. And all I remember is Peter Griffin fighting a chicken. And for some reason in his podcast, they're talking about like angry chicks versus mother cluckers or something.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I've never heard of that restaurant. I don't know what Peter Griffin and the Fighting Chicken have to do with any of that, but that's what got me hooked. I'm like, okay, I don't know what debauchery is going on here, but cool, whatever. I'll take a listen. And so I remember I just go through like the entire lineup in like about a week, and I'm like, damn, this guy knows a lot. And it's not just about like video games. It's like this guy is, how do you even phrase it? Like there's not a word large enough to encapsulate his breadth of knowledge
Jesus.
on just about everything.
No. If you're gonna start your own podcast, get a guy who just blows you up with compliments. Amazing.
So yeah, that's his experience. I have absolutely none. I
None.
think I do a good job drinking
But
and eating, and that's about it. That's what I can contribute.
that's what I quote unquote hired you for. I was like, this guy
Yes.
drinks a lot and he actually learns from it. That's like the difference. It's like the awkward difference of when like I don't know a good example. I would guess the most relatable example is like trying to get like a new boyfriend or girlfriend is being like, okay, I play a lot of games, but like I'm not gonna like ignore you or not pause my game to interact with you. I play games to the point where I care about who made it and where it came from.
Yes.
So
I will rarely drink a bottle of wine or a beer or a spirit, If I don't know anything about it, I'm not going to drink it. It's as simple as that.
oh really?
So, like, when I'm buying wine for myself, if I know this is not a real winery, I'm probably not going to buy it. Oh, here's
Would
a
you drink this?
test. No, I would not. So off of this wine alone, I could tell you it's mass produced. It was probably either bottled in let's see, it's either Livingston or it's either Modesto. There is a pretty big winery conglomerate in both of those areas. Um, I'm not going to drop the name, but in Italian, the word that I'm thinking is rooster. They have a massive marketing budget. So if you're listening to us, hey, throw some wine our way.
Please.
Now, they make great wines. That is not one of them. I can tell you that is not a real winery. It is a mass-produced wine. And there's nothing wrong with those kind of wines. If I was going to make like a meal that called for a bottle of wine to cook with, that would be acceptable. Now, wine has alcohol. It
Now I
has
know what to do with
calories.
it.
Yeah, wine has calories. It has alcohol. It's going to get you drunk. I'm going to pick my poison of choice and actually make sure I know about it. So, alternatively, let's see, just looking on the shelf,
Yeah, Mike Joseph.
Trefethen. So this right here, I don't know if you guys can actually see it. This is a real winery in Napa Valley. They're based in Oak Knoll, southern Napa Valley. They make a killer dry Riesling. Their Chardonnays are great. They also have a wonderful Cabernet. That's just their Napa Valley designate. But then they also have this really beautiful label higher end Cabernet. That's the difference between what I would say is a quality producer and a daily drinker. Trefethen for me is a more special occasion kind of wine. The Cannonball is more like, hey, we're on our 5th bottle of wine of the night. Let's just open up something to drink. That would be that one right there. So, yeah. Now, where I was going with that, I don't know. I'm sorry. Let's get back to the topic. It's like here I'm talking shit about wineries when I shouldn't.
I was just gonna say I don't know why I have a 375, but
I'm happy you do. It's like a perfect just weeknight drinker. Well, not Trefethen, like I said, special occasion.
special occasion. Oh yeah, there we go. Wow.
So, can I ask you a question now?
Yes, of course.
What is the most, I don't want to say fascinating game you've played so far, but what is a game that has recently just had you thinking, man, I want to tell the world about this video game?
That was actually going to be this episode's pairing.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
There we go. We're learning the segue. No, yeah. So, sure, why not? Like last time it took us until like 30 minutes to get into the actual show. This time it
Yes.
only took us like 13 minutes. So
Hey,
here we go.
we're doing better.
So, okay. So today's pairing, uh, well, up for the pairing chop and block. God, we gotta find like names for everything.
Wait, it'll come.
It'll come. This time it's going to be the latest Legend of Zelda game that just came out. Well, it didn't just come out, a few months ago, but I've been plowing through this game.
Plowing.
Yeah, so it is called The Legend of Zelda: The Tears of the Kingdom. It is a sequel to Breath of the Wild, and the reason why I bring that up is because this game was like that game like times like 20. So just to talk about Breath of the Wild real quick, its biggest like innovation compared to all the other Legend of Zelda games is that this one was like a true open world. There are plenty of adventure games that like are open world to the point where it's just like you can go to multiple destinations that is established to be a part of a larger world. An actual open world game is one where it's just like it's not like segmented by like a loading screen or like a big ocean or like a bunch of like empty spots.
Mm-hmm.
It is actually one giant map that's constantly loading, and like it's just so seamless that it actually feels like you're going somewhere
Huh.
instead of like loading and spawning somewhere else. So that was its big innovation, and it was that mixed with the way they structured their missions, where say an objective you got is to go to the big castle and beat someone up.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, how you get there is how else? You go to the castle's main entrance
Mm-hmm.
and you go inside because that's just how video games are designed. There's only one entrance. And in a game like Breath of the Wild, you can go to that castle. You can go through the front gate, sure, if you're a born pleb. But you can also
Challenge accepted.
go through its moat and go through like a hole in the wall.
What?
You can fly over the castle,
This is Harry Potter level shit right here.
drop in from the top, and maybe go through one of its very stereotypical, like big arch style holes, windows in the castle. You can, not Breath of the Wild particularly, but there are games where like you can like freaking blackmail the security to let you in.
What?
And stuff like that. And yeah, and Breath of the Wild is one of those games where you can literally tackle a mission or a destination from literally any angle, and it will not tell you whether or not that was the right or wrong answer. It just gives you complete player freedom, never makes you feel bad or good about the decisions you make. It's just how you play.
I love that.
Yeah.
That actually seems like a really just fun game to play because you don't really lose and you don't really win, right?
Yeah. It's like the feeling of like accomplishment and that that you're the badass, like the main protagonist, just comes from just straight up your action and just feeling clever with your own actions.
And completing whatever assignment it is, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that was Breath of the Wild's big innovation. Tears of the Kingdom, which is today's subject, takes that and says, okay, so you have free decision to do what you want. What if we gave you free creativity to do whatever you want?
What?
So now on top of having unlimited decisions to make, you can now take like pieces of course the closest relatable thing to say is like Lego. Like you take all these Lego pieces where it's just like here's a flat plank, here's like a little skinny rod, here is a fan that like spins really fast. Okay, what can I do with this? And you can make like the most jankiest, simplest boat, put it on a body of water. The game has in-game physics, so like it reacts realistically
What?
as much as possible to the world. And the flat plane will obviously lay flat in water, and it's buoyancy enough that it will stay above it, and the fan will propel you forward. And no one told you to do that. You just thought this might work, and it does. Like whatever, like
That's mind blowing. Oh my god.
whatever simple intuition that you think that you can build or that might work within the game's rules, just does. And it makes you just feel like there's nothing that can stop you. Of course, there are blunders that would stop you, but
Yeah.
it's also fun to blunder. It's fun to like create something that you're just like, I think I know how a helicopter works. You put you put a spinny thing on top, but like you don't have anything to balance it because you didn't like think that far, and the whole your whole contraption will like flip over. But you don't get mad and be like, oh, the game sucks. You just laugh and you just go, that was the funniest thing I ever did. I'm gonna try again.
So you really get to play engineer with this.
Exactly. You if you got an engineering major, play this game.
Oh my god, that sounds like the best video game I've ever heard of.
And get this, I'm just talking about playing it, right?
Uh-huh.
The big story is once again, Ganon's a baddie. You may have heard of Ganon before in Zelda games. He's usually the big baddie of all the games.
Okay, so pardon my ignorance. So, Legend of Zelda, that's what we're talking about, right?
Correct.
That's not the same thing as League of Legends?
No, not even close.
Hi.
My cat's here.
Yeah, he's the most sweetest cat. But okay, so League of Legends is not Legend of Zelda.
No. An entirely different property.
Okay, so Legend of Zelda, who's the main character?
The main character,
Is it Quinn or Kin or something like that?
if you ask a dorky four-eyed nerd,
Is it that little elf?
they would argue it's the elf or
What's his name?
or the
Or their name?
princess Zelda. The elf, the main character that you play, his name is Link.
There we go, Link. Okay, I feel like I've heard that name before. Okay, that makes more sense now.
I was calling him a cat.
Oh, yeah. There he is.
So yeah, so you always play as a Link, and basically the game structure like this. In every single game, you always play as a character named Link, and he relatively looks the same. Same thing with the Princess Zelda. There's always a Zelda. She mostly looks the same. Sometimes she dresses as a guy, but that's a different story. And sometimes, not always, there's always a big baddie named Ganon. Now this one, all three of those things are true. There's a Link, there's a Zelda, there's a Ganon, and Ganon's coming back to fuck shit up. He comes in the open world, and he curses it with gloom, which is basically this gooey stuff that where if you touch it, you lose health and you get all weak and whatever. And narratively, it makes all the citizens weak. It also spawns a bunch of monsters, so the entire land is infested with all these monsters that you got to fight. And in the story, they're just like, where's all this gloom coming from? And they go to the basement of Hyrule Castle, which is, the princess's castle. Go all the way down there. Turns out Ganon is still alive. They didn't know that, but Ganon's still alive, and he's somehow, through him being sealed under the castle where he's not a big threat yet, he's still able to cause some gloom and like cause monsters to come out of nowhere. And that's because the seal is weakening. When you get down there, this is the very beginning of the game, by the way. When you get down there, the seal breaks. He wakes up and he's just like, "Oh, Link, Zelda, you guys are a bunch of freaking punks. I'm about to ruin your life." And you're like, "How does he know who we are?" Turns out, time travel. There's time travel in this game.
What?
That's right. And then a bunch of shit happens. Zelda disappears into a different time. She goes back to the past. And then you have to figure out, first of all, that she even went to the past, because she like just disappears to you. And then meanwhile, you're fighting gloom. You're in this open world, which is beautiful vistas, lots of greenery, lots of bodies of water. You can swim in wherever you want. You can build stuff. Lots of villages and people to save, and you're just a classic hero. You're just a classic. You live to be a hero and save people. And you just got to figure out how to defeat Ganon. Save the princess? Yeah.
I'm flabbergasted. Oh my god, I feel like I would never leave that playing that game.
No. Where I'm currently at in the game is I'm at the very, very last mission to see the end credits. And guess what I've been doing for the past 2 weeks?
Putting it off.
Not playing the final mission. I would just go to village to village, beat all the side quests, find all the shrines. And when you find shrines, you can increase your maximum health and stamina. So that's what I've been doing. Just basically just getting all the gains, just straight, like just bulking up. So when I finally have to go, oh god, I do have to play the last mission, I'm just going to be overpowered as hell and probably like kill him in like 5 hits. Probably. Because I already have like, you already have the signature Master Sword, which is like the canonical like Link's ultimate weapon that he always has. Already got the sword. Already
So
got
you
his
can't.
shield.
So you can't lose.
There's no way I can lose. But you can also, on top of building contraptions out of scrap wood and like whatever, you can also build your own weapons by taking like maybe a spear rod and putting like a monster that you killed is like sharp horn on the end and like things like that. Like you can make your
So
own swords, you can make your own spears.
You can be as creative as you want to be. Then
with everything. You can even attach things to your shield. So like I've already learned, not all of them, but I learned a good number of combinations that give me even stronger weapons than the Master Sword. So it's gonna be a cakewalk. I'm gonna mop the floor with that guy.
when did this game come out? I feel like I've lost out on like life by not playing this game.
Is it June?
Oh
May?
wow, so recent.
Very recently. Maybe even earlier than that.
Damn, that might be the first video game I actually go out and buy.
Yeah. Do you have a Switch?
I don't know what that is.
I guess not.
Do you have one?
Yeah, it's the middle console.
Oh, that thing. I thought that was a Game Boy. That's not a Game Boy?
I can show you what a Game Boy looks like.
That's
I
not
have that too.
So that's not a Game Boy.
That's not a Game Boy, no.
Well, okay. So as you can tell, I have no credibility when it comes to video games, but what I do have is interest in things like that.
But do you have a beverage?
I
That might pair with that game.
actually do. So this is going to require a little.
I was about to say, by the way, I'm so excited about this because I'm continuously playing this game. Whatever Victor's about to say, I might buy so I can play it with so I can drink with this game.
So this is going to require a little bit of financial investment, but the way that you were talking, well, you already have a piece of play here. So this is where it gets fun. So I don't have a specific wine to pair with this. I have a specific grape.
Ooh, okay.
So with wine, it's really simple. So if you're in the States, when you buy a bottle of wine, typically from the States, you're going to notice a big old fancy word, probably like Cabernet Sauvignon, Chardonnay. If you didn't know, that's just the name of the grape. So in other countries, they kind of do it backwards, where they name the wine after the place where it comes from, and they leave it up to you to kind of guess what the grape is. So there's this really cool country called Germany, and they have this infatuation with a grape called Riesling, little white wine. So cool that, I mean, if you go back, I think it's like the 1100s maybe. So Riesling is a really, really old grape, and it's so noble that in Germany, one of the kings, I want to say, or one of the dukes, whatever it was, actually ordered vineyards to rip out all vines that weren't Riesling grapes.
Oh my God.
That's how noble Riesling is. But so Riesling is possibly the coolest grape on the planet because the development it goes through as it gets older is just insane. So my official pairing here would be don't buy one, buy 12 bottles of Riesling of the same one. And what I want you to do is drink one every 5 years. Drink one when you first buy the case and appreciate it for its fresh, juicy, fruity flavors.
Mhm.
What is beautiful about Riesling is that you can buy everything from bone dry, like wash the enamel off your teeth acidic, dry Riesling, to you can buy little half bottles of the most delightful syrup you could ever imagine drinking, and everything in between. Personally, I love what's known as Cabernet and Spatlese Rieslings. So pretty much just like perfectly ripened and then late harvest Riesling. But what I would prefer you to do is buy a case, pop one open as soon as you get it, serve it nice and cold, pairs really well with Thai food. But 5 years later, open up the next one. What you're going to notice is that it's going to have developed a little bit, and it doesn't matter if it's dry, sweet, whatever it may be. All Rieslings with time will develop this little nice, like little honey, kind of like dried apricot, peach kind of flavor.
All right.
And then 10 years down the road, now the color will have deepened a little bit. You're going to start noticing more of like a slight pistachio, think more of like a dried pineapple kind of flavor. 15 years, you're going to notice more of like this wonderful, like think of like a lemon curd meets like a tangerine. And then at about 20 years, this is when Riesling gets really, really fun. So as weird as this sounds, when it gets to about 20 years old, even sooner possibly, it starts developing this petrol scent to it. Think of gasoline. When you're at the gas pump pumping gas, you're going to smell that. It's going to smell weird. But when you taste it, it's going to be so rich, so just refreshing. Just, oh my God, it's really hard to describe. And from then on, it can go as long as you want it to go.
Wow.
So with Riesling, you have everything from bone dry to super sweet, everything in between. It is possibly the most age-worthy white wine out there, and the best part about this is it doesn't have to be expensive. One of the best wines I've ever had was a Dr. Field in 2004 Spatlese Riesling. That when it was given to me was selling for $4 a bottle. And I
There you
drank
go.
that, and I drank that thing when I was about 12 years old. So it doesn't have to be expensive. All I'm saying
You drank
is,
a wine at 12-year-old?
yeah, a 12-year-old Riesling.
Oh,
And
I thought you were 12.
I mean, by all tokens, I mean, I think I should have been 12 when I was drinking that wine, but whatever, you know. But yeah, so Riesling, the development it goes through is insane because it's one of those universal wines that pairs pretty much with everything.
Mhm.
I am unabashedly going to say my favorite pairing with hot Cheetos. It's not video games; it's hot Cheetos. Did I say hot Cheetos was my
Twice.
pairing
Yeah.
with hot? Oh my god, I'm so stupid. So
You caught it.
I meant to say one of my favorite pairings ever with Riesling is hot Cheetos. Um, Hot Cheetos and Riesling just take you straight to heaven or whatever you believe your version of cosmic, eternity is.
Right.
But the development that Riesling goes through over the years, it's just insane. It's like you think you're done, but then you're not. And the most heartbreaking point comes at the very end when you know you just have one bottle left.
Oh, yeah.
And you know it has to be done justice. And I've been in that predicament far too many times that I want to imagine where I'm down to my last bottle. And a good example is, oh my God. So if I had to recommend one wine to do this with, if you can get your hands on it, great. If you can't, I'm sorry. It is a 1976 Grand Val Clos de Val Cabernet from Napa Valley.
Mm.
That bottle of wine is worth a couple $100 now, I'm pretty sure. I was lucky enough to snag one at a whopping price of $50 a bottle.
Whoa.
But so Clos de Val is this historic property in the Napa Valley. Frenchmen came from France, found this perfect slope, where like the wind is just perfect. So the grapes they were growing back then were like, no, there was no science back then. Back in 1976, the Napa Valley was barely becoming, somewhat famous because of the Judgment of Paris tasting. You can Google that on your own, but pretty much what happened is that this winery is investing money into this, into this wine that they're making called the Grand Val. And by all measures, I mean, this wine now should have been past its prime. Most wine won't make it that long.
Mhm.
I remember I was in my storage and I saw that bottle and I'm like, I don't want to open this
Oh, man.
because this is bottled history. Clos de Val is a historic winery. But in my heart of hearts, I knew it had to be done. And so I remember I picked it up. And at that point, you're just like holding this like immaculate thing that, the moment you drink it, it's going to cease to exist. And so you have like,
100%.
you already have like this predisposed grief of like, I've held on to this for so long. Who knows what, if this bottle of wine could tell stories, what would it tell you? And I remember I took it to this fancy dinner and I remember I opened it and it didn't smell like anything. And I'm like, I waited too long.
Oh,
I
no.
should have drank it, sooner. And so then I'm like haphazardly like going to the host of the dinner and I'm like, look, man, I'm sorry, like I thought it was gonna be better. I hand him a glass and he's all like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, the wine. He's all like, have you tasted it? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, try it again. Victor, I kid you not. Oh my
Brought
God.
back to life?
It gave me life I didn't know I had. That wine, oh my God. It's like almost indescribable to tell you what that feels like. In a split moment that I took that sip, I wanted to cry of happiness, of grief, knowing I would never experience this again once this wine was gone. That wine, imagine the texture of half and half, right?
Right.
But you taste like cinnamon, you taste cardamom, you taste chocolate, you taste like dried cherries, you taste like tobacco. There is no acidity, there is no tannin, there's no bitterness. It's just like this enveloping blanket, like you're going to sleep and you have a weighted blanket on you, and like the temperature is perfectly cold outside, but you're perfectly toasty under the blanket, and nothing can go wrong. That's what that wine tasted like.
Mhm.
And I just remember like the whole dinner. I vaguely remember the conversations I was having with the people that were there, but all I remember is people saying this wine is magical. And I remember they poured me the last bit of it,
Oh.
and I remember I took that last sip, and I'm just like, what a privilege to have this culmination of this wine that you know I'm pretty sure when it was first released, people thought, "Oh, this is disgusting. It's just nasty wine." And those who are lucky enough to wait that long to put off that thing, for the right moment, it's just magical. So when you were saying that, like you're at that last level where you're about to pass the game, but you don't want to do it, I feel you, man. I mean, that's how I felt with that, bottle of Clos de Vol. I'm just like, I'm looking at it. I know I have to do it. I don't want to do it. But when you do it, you're just going to be like, well, I mean, that's it.
That was beautiful.
That's what wine can be.
Jesus Christ.
So, I mean, for a video game that you described like that, I think I had to think of a wine or a grape that would do that. Riesling will do that. Now, the tricky thing about Riesling is you got to time it right, which is why I said by 12. Because if you only have one, it's that Clos de Vol over again. You got to wait till the right moment. You wait too long, you're screwed. Pop it too early, you're screwed. So you have one. It's the Donhoff Oberhäuser. Ooh, what is it? Don't grab the bottle because I'm going to smite myself when I get home for not remembering this. You have a 2019 Donhoff Oberhäuser Brücke Cabinet Riesling from 2019. Excellent vintage in Germany, by the way. So if you have any 2019s at your local shop, buy them up because they're going to age wonderfully. That's the one that I'm like, if you can, wait 10 years at least. At least.
Wow.
That wine's going to be beautiful in time. But yeah, so those would be my two recommendations. If you want to go the long way, buy a bottle of Riesling. If you want to experience what I did, 1976, Clos de Vol, Grand Val Cabernet from Napa Valley.
I mean, there's no way you can buy that bottle right now, right? That exact bottle?
Yeah, you could still buy it. It's just going to cost you an arm and a leg.
Oh, right. But, oh, man. Yeah, you would just think if others were just as worried if they waited too long that they would have just drunk it up by now.
Yeah, I mean, that's the sad part about a lot of wine is people tend to believe that a lot of wines are meant to be aged, and it's like, no, about like 90% of everything at your local booze shop is meant to be drunk when you buy it.
Yeah.
So,
especially this guy back here.
Oh yeah,
Cannonball.
Cannonball. Yeah, you buy that. There, but like that Trifet, then it'll probably improve, for about 5-7 years.
There you go.
So yeah, so that would be my official pairing for that. For a video game that you described as beautifully as that, as fulfilling and just a joy to play, I feel like I had to provide a wine that would provide the same for me.
Yeah, and the thing too, like I don't remember if it was this episode or the last where I was just like, I become a bitter man of video games because like if they're just not impressive, right? This way, like I'm weaving in and out of this phase where I feel like I may have seen it all with video games, and that a lot of them are structured, especially if it's the same genre, structured almost exactly the same. And I'm just like, oh, I've already, even though I literally haven't played this game, I was like, I played this game before. Like the camera is the same, what the buttons do are the same. I'm just like
the nostalgia.
I'm just like, I was like, I already played it. Do something new, video games, please. And like Breath of the Wild is one of those few games in a very long time where I was just like, sure, you hit a button and you attack. Sure, you can, create things from scrap. Like those have been done before, and I have played things like it. But there's this magical X factor in Tears of the Kingdom that like they do it so right, or even picking up a piece of a stick to like put on something. It's like it's just so responsive and feels so good to like press the buttons and like start making stuff that like all of it's like a dopamine hit, like every single part of it. So, and it's just like.
But isn't it nice to have those games every now and then that just remind you what a joy it is to play a video game?
Yeah, it's like, in my opinion, it's becoming rarer and rarer to find a game that's that polished and the mechanics work so well that.
But again, I think that's due to us becoming more discerning. It's like the more I learn about wine, the harsher critic I am.
Right.
Same thing. The more video games you play, you're like, I've seen this, I've seen that. Like give me something new.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it fails, I think, but every now and then you're just like, damn.
That is a nice way to put it. I also feel like I'm missing out on games because I don't even bother to try them.
Yeah, I mean, damn. At our last employer, maybe in my life I would be able to try feasibly 80% of the wines that we sold.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I could drink all of them in my lifetime. I mean, okay, here's a good question for you. How many video games do you think you've played in your lifetime? If you had to take a stab at the number.
I mean, there are so many people who could just wipe the floor with me with how many games they played. But
Yeah, but I mean, they also don't live the same lifestyle, same life.
gosh,
I mean, I know I
have an
don't
idea.
I don't compare with Master Psalms or Master of Wines.
I I guess for the I'll do the math this way. For the consoles that I've personally managed, whether or not I bought the console myself, but managed throughout like my little wee years, I would say I was probably able, with either my own money or through allowance, probably acquire like maybe like anywhere between like 12 to 30 games per console, and I've owned a lot of consoles, so I would say like I've already played like between 200 to 400, maybe 500 games. Like there was a period where I was buying so many. My cats are fighting. If you can hear that, they'll work it out. And, um, and that's just averaging out the times where I've been on buying sprees. But there are also a lot of games I bought and never played too. So
Oh, and that's I feel like how I am with wine.
yeah,
It's like so many wines. I'm not gonna drink them all.
stop fighting you too. Leave this in. Thank you.
They're having a disagreement there, but
Wow.
but again, Mako's just such a distinguished gentleman. I
Yeah.
mean, like Mako's the little white kitty with the brown tail, and then what's the other cat's name? I already forgot them.
Kit Kat.
Yeah, I have the acronym for them.
All right. Now we're on to the show where you tell us about a wine you've been filling I try to
And
come up
then
with a
yeah,
game.
you try to pair a game with that.
or maybe a movie. I've been watching some more movies lately.
That too. Okay, so let's see. A wine that I've had recently that I would describe. Okay, so there are some wines that, like the Clos de Vol, magical wines.
Right.
But there's a time and place for those. You can't be drinking those every single day.
No.
Sometimes you just need something easy to drink, fun, but also lasting. As in, when you're drinking it, you're going to be like, damn, this is good. But again, it's not going to be something that's going to blow your mind either, you know? It's just something that you can reliably always go back to and say, hey, this is a wine that I just love.
Mhm.
And for me, that is the. So this wine is sold exclusively at a place called Total Wine. It goes for a whopping $7 a bottle. So listen to that. It is a wine called, the winery is called Recas Castle, and it is a grape called the Feteasca Regala. So it's this, when you look at the bottle, it's just this cheap, dinky little bottle that has like a little plastic, label to it. And what they won't tell you, though, is that Carmela Recas is the oldest winery in Transylvania. They have a magnificent castle in Transylvania, being the land of Dracula. And Feteasca Regala is a indigenous grape to Romania. That wine is just so lovely. It's refreshing. It's aromatic. It's not complicated. It's not complex. But for $7 a bottle, I mean, that thing is killer with the Costco roast chicken. I
There you
mean,
go.
it's just it's something that's not going to break the bank, and it's like whenever I pop one of those open, I'm like, this is just fun. It's just refreshing. It's so easy to drink. It's not complicated. And I'm not wrapping my head around various tasty notes, trying to think, oh my god, it has phenols and terpenes, and like the finish on this and bittersweet on that. It's like no, it's just simple and just a joy to drink. It doesn't give me the same sensations, as like a Chateau Lafite or something like that. It's just for what it is and what you're paying. It's just a great return. So, if you have a video game or movie for that one,
Yeah. Thankfully for me, something did come to mind. I was mentioning last episode that I was just like, I'm actually nervous because I've been playing less games lately. But this time, something comes straight to mind. A video game called Rogue Legacy. Now, you're mentioning that that luckily for me and our listeners, low point of entry. You can grab this bottle, snatch it up, probably enjoy 2 bottles if you got the budget for it.
yeah.
This game, also, it's a small indie game, but it's been out long enough that on a lucky day you can probably get the PC version on sale for like $2.
What?
It probably came out at like probably maximum $20, but like it's probably up and down in sales. You can get it for 15, 10,
You're
8.
talking my
Alright.
price there,
There you
man.
go,
That's
there
a
you go.
great price.
Yeah. So, and in this game, so you're talking about like you're talking about Transylvania. You're talking about a delight. You're talking about like kind of like this nice refreshingness, and that immediately reminded me about how there's again a tried and true genre called Metroidvanias, which are the type of games where it's like a 2D style platforming. So like kind of like Mario, you see like things that you can jump on and try to get higher or like further into the level. But it's also called Metroidvania because the levels. Oh my gosh! Excuse me. The first burp in the show, where the game is structured in a way where you can go back and forth throughout the level. Because usually, like in a Mario game, again another Mario, you go from the beginning of the level to the end of the level, and the level's over. In Metroidvania style games, you can go all the way to the end of the level, but then you have a new task where you have to go backtrack into the level and then find something else. So then you can progress or go up and down and stuff like that. Try and true genre. There's so many games that do it, but what makes this one refreshing is that it's also the type of game where when you die, you lose everything, you have to start all over. But the gimmick with that is that when you die, okay, let me start with this. Maybe I'm getting a little too ahead of myself. Every character that you are has base stats and like some perks. Stats being like maybe this guy has like a high attack power, can kill most enemies in one hit. This one has a higher jump stat, so maybe he like leaps farther than most people. And sometimes he'll have perks where it's just like he can see through walls, or maybe this perk is he's kind of blind, so he can only see like about like 3 inches in front of him. Like weird, quirky stuff like that. There's also perks where it's just like you're constantly crying, and like that makes you like slip all over the level and slipping on your own tears. It's a really quirky game, and it's refreshing to that genre. I'm realizing mid description, by the way, I might be talking about the wrong genre because Metroidvania is a thing, but I think what I'm describing when you die and come back as a new different person, those are called roguelites.
Roguelites.
There's roguelites and roguelikes. And I guess I should explain what those are.
So there's Montepulciano and Montepulciano.
Yeah. So roguelikes, as in you like someone, is those ones where you die and you lose everything you've collected and all your stats. You just plain out start over. That's a very hard type of game.
Yeah.
Roguelites are you die, but you don't lose everything. Maybe you lose your perks, but you don't lose your stats. Or a different type of game will have a different gimmick where you do lose your stats, but you don't lose your perks. A little variation.
But you keep like some kind of semblance of what was.
Exactly. So this game is a roguelite where there are some stats and structures that you can keep, but because you're a different person every time you start the game, like maybe you're on like a god run and you're just like, I love this character, I love his perks, I love his stats, and then you die, and you're like, no, and now you're a person who like, oh, I don't know, has only a dagger for a weapon. And you can't switch weapons and you do like 1 damage and you're like, now you have to deal with that. It's very refreshing because you don't know what you're gonna get. And that's just kind of like the fun with it. It's very entry level. You have loads of fun with it. You can play it infinitely all you want. Of course, wine isn't infinite, but with the low price point, you can probably keep it flowing. Just don't flow too much. Drink responsibly.
Yes.
And yeah, that's like the first thing.
So this is a game that I can easily, like myself at my level,
easily. You can probably buy it. They might have ported it to Apple. You can probably buy it on your phone.
Please DM me the name again, because yes, be in my DMs, please.
It's Rogue Legacy.
Rogue Legacy, that's the one.
Developer for Rogue Legacy. I mean, we don't have. I'm not sending a lot of people your way, but
yeah, I mean, hey,
send this guy a free copy.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I could be your biggest like asset here. Like, I don't play video game. Well, I mean, I want to play the one you were describing earlier too. I mean, that one just seems like magical on all fronts.
That is $70.
Oh, I could buy a case of Recas for that.
By the way, when you're talking about like, buying 12 bottles and like, the closest memory I had to this, you might remember this, is that when we went to Westbrook.
Oh my God, yes, we had to split a case.
No, what happened was I wanted to buy half a case, but he told me that for whatever reason he told me that they didn't like quite have it immediately, and then like I can probably just like, get it later or online or whatever, whatever the situation may have been. And then and I was like, okay, that's fine anyways, because like I was kind of making like a knee-jerk reaction. I was just like, I love this fucking bottle. This bottle's beautiful.
That was the 2009 Viognier.
Exactly. You do remember this.
Yes.
And then by the time I was able to, I happened to speak to him again because of the position I was at our old job. He was just like coming in and out whenever he had to deliver it. And I was just like, oh, by the way, I want to buy that half case off of you. And he was just like, oh, I don't have that one anymore. And I was like, what? And I was describing to you, I was just like, oh, that he didn't have that half case. And then you were just like, oh, I bought it.
Oh, I forgot about that.
And we don't backstab.
No.
I wasn't personally hurt, but I was hurt. I was just like, Victor, that was probably the one and only wine I would ever ball out on.
And I bought all of them.
And you bought the rest of them.
I did.
It's very sad.
I have one bottle of that left.
Oh, if you had 2 bottles of it left, I would beg for it. But
that is maybe one of the few wines that would rival that 1976 Clos de Wall.
Really?
Honestly, that 2000. Okay, so maybe keep this in, maybe keep this out. But Viognier is a grape that does not tend to age very well. It is a wine that more often than not tastes like perfumed canola oil. It's really hard to find good examples. The best ones are coming from Coindreau, France. But anywho, so these wines tend to fall off pretty quickly. After 2-3 years, they're just so oily. There's no acid. It's just flabby. It's like you're drinking vanilla pudding. It's pretty gross. Right. So when he poured that wine, I just remember thinking, what the fuck is this? And he's like, it's a Viognier. And I'm like, no, it's not. He's like, look at the label. And I'm like, what? It blew my mind. I'm like, there's no way. I mean, that wine was like the epitome of like dried pineapples and mangoes and guavas and lychees and honeys and flowers. It was still acidic. It was still refreshing. It was still brisk. It had like the tiniest bit of vanilla. It was creamy. It was velvety. It was just damn good. And I remember thinking like, I want this.
The best part, now forgive me if this is the wrong wine that we're talking about, but Ray, I believe, also did this bit where he was like telling us a really interesting long story, and like I was like, and then at the end of it, he was like, by the way, hold your wine glass, let your palms warm up that wine while I'm talking. We're like, okay, and then we kept listening to the story, and finally he's just like, take a taste, and then Jesus, that was the first time I've ever experienced that in my entire life. I did not know wines can do that. And it was just like, just syrupy, like honeycomb, and it was nuts. I nearly lost my goddamn mind, and that's why I wanted to buy so fucking badly.
and that was that same Viognier.
God, fuck.
I mean, this is what, quality booze can do to you. Is like you taste it, it changes your life, it becomes a core memory. It's like when you wake up one day and you find out your dad's cooking in the kitchen, he's making your favorite meal, and you're like, I miss that, That's what that Viognier is for me and Victor. It's like, we had this wine that it's like, don't even take our taste forward. At that point, we had totally different taste. I liked beer a lot more at that point. But that wine to both of us just blew our mind. That's how great that wine is.
Pure honeysuckle.
Just absolutely beautiful wine. So you could find those wines at Westbrook Wine Farm. It's appointment only in O'Neill's, California. About 30 minutes from Madera, California, in Central California. Tell him that Victor and Victor sent you. He'll know right away who it is.
There you go. I've spoken to him so long.
I know. We need to go back there.
Yeah. And also to add on top of that real quick, so coming to our mutual job, I was like fresh. Like I came into that job as a stalker, and like one of my ends was just like, oh sure, I know wines, but like I like Tiger Sequoia, I like Lagunitas, I like whatever, and they were just like, okay, so you can probably sell some beer, hire me on whatever. And wines, I was just like, oh, Merlot.
It's better than Grenache.
That experience where I had that wine was like the light switch that made me be like, I want to learn the vocabulary. I want to get my taste for it. I want to enrich my palate. I care now.
Yeah, that's what they call the WoW wine.
And it's been a slow process since. Now that I'm around wine more again, it's starting back up again now.
Okay, and let me tell you again, because he's so humble, he won't tell you the lovely collection he has. I was just looking at it a couple hours ago, and I'm like, God damn, dude! Like,
not of my own acquirement.
I mean, he has a 2,000 grams vintage port in there. He has the Westbrook Madeira. He has, oh my goodness, there's a Blanchard Syrah from 2015. He has that Dornhoff Riesling. He has an Adea Pinot Noir from the Willamette Valley. He has an astonishing collection, you know.
It was given with love, gifts, and reward for hard work, some of them.
Yes. Hard work does get rewarded, and it's best when it's made with quality wines.
There you go. All right. Wow. Another great episode.
How are we on time? Are we doing great?
That's all I was trying to check. I forgot where the timer is. Oh, we can go for about like 7 more minutes, maybe even longer.
Perfect. So then let's see. We covered pairing. So the magical game with the magical wine. I talked about a cheap but delicious wine. We got a cheap, delicious game.
That's right.
So let's see. What fun fact can we throw out there to begin the next?
Fun fact. Time for fun facts and learning.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about champagne corks killing you this time. Let's see. What could I come up with? Actually, name a random wine.
Name a random wine. A brand or a varietal?
Either or.
Either or. Let's go with, I'm probably saying this wrong, Sangiovese?
Sangiovese. Okay, so cool story about Sangiovese. So Sangiovese is from Tuscany, Italy. So central, western Italy. This is the wearer of many hats in Tuscany. So get ready for a little mini Italian lesson. So in Montalcino, Tuscany, it is called Brunello. In Montepulciano, Tuscany, it is called Prugnolo Gentile. In Chianti, it is called Sangiovese Grosso. And in Morellino, it is called Morellino di Scansano. All those are the same grape, but depending where you're at, they will taste totally different. When you get quality Brunello, it's going to taste like rosemary. When you get quality Vino Nobile, the Montepulciano, it's going to taste like this luscious walnut, hazelnutty kind of flavor. You get Chianti, you're going to get lovely cranberry cherry flavors. You get Morellino di Scansano, you're going to get more of like this chocolatey granola, kind of weird peanut buttery kind of flavor in there. Mm-hmm. I mean, Sangiovese is just this crazy delicious wine. And my favorite thing, it pairs lovely with spaghetti.
I fucking love spaghetti.
Get the best quality marinara sauce you can get. Toss in your favorite noodles, some meatballs, and go to town with any bottle of Sangiovese.
What about cheesy pasta, like a lasagna?
Oh my God. If I had lasagna, honestly, this is going to sound a little crude considering how much shit I talked about Gabbiano in the last episode. But cheap Chianti, I'm not talking about Gabbiano. Gabbiano, I love you for my nostalgia, but your place is not with lasagna. Sorry, that's cruel. It wasn't even good with Little Caesars. That's how bad it was. And I love Little Caesars too. That is the pizza of the people. But I would say that a good like $10 Chianti, just standard Chianti with lasagna, amazing. Cheap Chianti, that's good, is going to be juicy, refreshing, mildly bitter, but enough to offset, the tomato greasiness, the fattiness, the cheesy, and all that stuff. So yeah, those Sangiovese is great with pretty much anything Italian. I would just say don't eat Sangiovese with fish.
Oh, I feel like it's kind of more or less like just intuitively right.
Yeah, I mean, it's the best analogy I could give you when you're trying to pair fish with Sangiovese, especially like common fish, like say trout, any kind of, tilapia, cod, maybe salmon, but not really. Imagine for a minute you have a mouthful of the most delicious, I don't know, let's say orange jam or jelly, like marmalade or something. And then you decide to chase that with some good old fashioned, let's go with what's the best black coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And then to top it all off, you decide to take a shot of just plain apple cider vinegar. Yeah.
Mako doesn't like it.
That's what you'll get if you pair Chianti with cod. There is absolutely no fat in the cod. Chianti has tannins. It's going to butcher the poor fish. You're not going to taste the fish. It's just not good. It's not good. And I love fish. I mean, little known fact about me, maybe not so little known now. I love tin fish. I
Mhm.
love sardines. I love all these little weird sea critters, that are just delicious in a can. But you'll never catch me drinking red wine with them. Like
Mm.
never. I love anchovies, not red wine. Now, what is good with that is this right here.
It's time for our featured wine segment. I
Yes.
guess this is a segment now.
Yeah, so our featured wine. So right here we have the Moet and Chandon Nectar Imperial. So for all you wine snobs out there, do not talk shit about this wine. So what I learned about this wine in my time in the trade is even though this wine has a bad reputation amongst professionals for being a very heavy clubbing favorite, this is actually a really nice gateway champagne for people that don't really drink champagne. It's the delightfully sweet, not bitter, not really super acidic style of champagne. It's great for people that tell you, oh, I've never really had a champagne that I've liked. That's the one you want to get them. The wine next to that is the Quinta das Carvalhas Tawny 20 year. So, this winery, I believe, Victor, correct me, but I think it goes back to the year 1760 or is it 1780? It should say on the front label.
1759.
Ah, damn it, I was 1 year off, maybe 20 years off. But anywho, so historic property in the Douro Valley, so that's going to be in northern Portugal, a little bit more inland. That's made in a pretty cool way. So pretty much you get, this port wine, sweet red wine, you put it in a barrel, and a lot of people tend to believe that that means that that wine is in the barrel for 20 years. It's actually not. So it's a little bit unscrupulous in the way that they do this. So they'll keep, wine in the barrel, say 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years, whatever. So what they do when they label that is that's just an average age of the barrels that went in there. So there might be, I don't know, let's say 75% of that wine is, just a 10-year tawny, and then 25% of it is going to be a 30-year tawny. It averages out pretty much to be about 20 years on that. But that specific wine, for what you're paying, I think that one goes for about $50 a bottle. This one goes for like about 70. That port is nice because once you open it, it doesn't go bad. Stick it in the fridge, you got like about a solid year drinking that. It's like a solid, just like, it tastes like walnuts, pralines, maple syrup. Tastes really, really good with chocolate chip cookies. So yeah, those would be the featured wines today. And another little known fact about this guy, these guys make a little famous champagne called Dom Perignon.
That's right. Yeah.
So Moet and Chandon, if you're hearing this, please send us a bottle of Dom Perignon. We'll be happy to pop that open on set actually and talk all about the graces. If you have any 2008 left, that would be preferable. But 2012, I'll settle for that too.
I have a feeling we won't talk to plebs like us until we have like, who knows, probably like 100,000 viewers.
That's probably true. I can't afford Dom Perignon, sadly. So, hey, look at the pores.
Think of it this way, Dom Perignon. How many bottles do you need to sell? That one's just like a drop in a bucket.
Exactly.
To give to us.
Spare it to the people talking about booze, to the common man and woman, in person.
That being said, I do have a new plug for the show. I had it for the last one, but I forgot. I want to preface this. This is completely optional. I'm talking about fans.
Oh yes,
donating to us. We have a call. It's so weird because it's pronounced coffee, but it looks like it says Ko-Fi because it's like KO-FI.
I bet it's pronounced coffee.
It's not. The point is, it's basically a tip jar website where it's just like, it just goes straight into our PayPal. We'll see and we'll share it. That tip jar is mostly for the show. We're going to use that just to buy some more featured wines, maybe even taste some stuff and talk about it on the show.
Yes.
But it is 100% optional, and there's no like limits, and it won't be like a paywall where you have to give money to see our videos. Nothing like that. Completely optional. If you love the show, if you appreciate what we're doing, it'll go towards bottles and games, whatever.
Yes, and for those wineries hearing about us, feel free to sponsor us, please. We'll be more than happy to. You could ship us wine. We'll talk about it on set. Put it here.
I will sign anything you want if you sponsor us.
Yes, we will happily say positive things about your wine. Now, if I don't like your wine, please understand that I may say I may not like it. But there is a demographic out there for that specific wine.
Yeah, we don't have a policy for shilling, but it's just a basic one. If you're not good or good to your customers, keep walking.
Exactly.
But if you're a good place, I'll say anything about your life.
Exactly. If you're I don't even want to say like completely, save the world good. I mean, even if you at least treat your workers right, care about the environment in some minuscule way,
Yeah,
I have no problem supporting that.
100% agree. Especially if you're small or new.
Yes.
We love new places.
I'm not saying this is going to be the policy we're going to put in effect, but if you're small and new, we'll bump you to the front of the line.
There you go.
Because, I mean, we know what it's like to be, small and up and coming.
Oh my god. Oh. It's I don't mean to keep the shill like things going, but like, yeah, if you say come on over to taste or tour, I'll make a little video about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I will drive us up there personally. We'll happily, talk about the experience.
You'll get so much free advertisement you don't even know.
Exactly. Yes, because you can find us on all podcast media, right?
That's right. You can find us
and
Spotify, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Pocket Casts, Open Radio, Radio Republic. I was trying to name all of them. I can't.
Well, let's see, there's Thread. I don't think you can listen on Threads, can you? Does Threads have a limit as to what the length of the video can be?
I can post like little videos to it, yeah.
Yeah, we could cut to the chase.
Oh, we're on TikTok.
I don't have a TikTok, but hey, I'll happily make one for these purposes here.
It's good. It's mostly gonna be like the clip parts or like any part that's like funny or whatever. It's just
Or
like,
we want to
it's like a little advertisement.
make us go viral, please,
Make us go around.
for the right reasons.
But yeah, sorry for sounding desperate. I'm just excited. This is a nice show, and I'm having 2 episodes already. I'm already having so much fun.
Exactly.
So there you go. If you like having fun with us, any feedback, happy to hear it. And yeah,
like, comment, and subscribe.
We'll see you in the next episode. Say bye to the cat. You can't see the cat. I'm sorry.
Master Mako.
Bye.
Bye-bye.